All right. Hey, everyone. This is Amanda. I just wanted to take a little bit of time and do some talking about my upcoming workshop on intuition called Ping. So the subtitle is Making Your Intuition Work for You. And I really wanted to go in a little bit more of a practical direction with this workshop rather than a more mystical or magical one. So I'm really looking here to kind of bring intuition down to earth and really talk about it in the way of like how can you use this in your everyday life? How can you use this to make decisions and to, you know, um, prioritize where it is you're going? So that's really what I wanted to do with this workshop. And in the next 10 or 12 minutes or so, I want to talk about the content of the workshop. So what we'll get into, and also the exercises as well. There'll be a couple of those. And just expect and just to talk about, what you can expect to get out of it. And I think at the very end, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what my workshops are like in general, in case you have never attended or watched one before. And I'm going to apologize right now because I was sick a couple of weeks ago, and you might still be able to hear that in my voice a little bit, and hopefully there won't be too many coughs during this video, but I am still managing a little bit of that. So I'll just apologize in advance for that, but that shouldn't be too distracting. All right. So, like I said, Ping is going to be more directed at sort of the practical and um, and yeah, and bringing your intuition down to earth. So let me grab my notes here because I'm going to talk about the four topics that we're going to be doing. So topic number one, and I'll just run through them all first, and then I'll talk a little bit more in depth. So the first topic that we'll do is distinguishing the voice of your intuition. The second one is called trusting your intuition. The third one is being out as an intuitive person. And the fourth one is supporting your intuition. So that's pretty typical for my workshops to do four topics. So I find that in 75 minutes, that's a pretty good number. And the other thing here too is that I always like doing a couple of exercises just to like break things up. They're optional. There's certainly no requirement to participate. But so we'll actually start off with an exercise. It'll just take a few minutes, but we're going to start off with a mindfulness meditation because I think it's a really good way. This kind of ties in with the supporting your intuition topic, but it's a great way to quiet and calm and center yourself so that you can actually hear your intuition, right? Um, so yeah, we're gonna take like just a few minutes at the beginning and just do that. And then a lot of times I like to talk a little bit about my experience, like maybe give some insights or whatever that I had. And I'll also invite anybody with me live to share any insights they'd like to in the chat. Um, Otherwise, and I'll get into this more later, but generally during my workshops, like I'm talking, you guys are listening. So there's no for viewers or participants, there's no like speaking involved. I always ask that everybody just keep themselves on mute. But you're always welcome to have put questions and comments into the chat. So, so that's the way we'll start off is actually with an exercise after a short introduction, and that just allows me to talk about what we're going to get into and also let people join live if they're going to. So for the first topic, In the first topic, distinguishing the voice of your intuition, what I really wanted to do there is talk about what your intuition feels like and how you can distinguish that from other things that can kind of masquerade as your intuition, right? So I think sometimes there's a question of, is this actually my intuition speaking to me? Or is this like my anxiety? Or is it fear? Or something like that, right? That can have a real strong it can cause a real strong feeling in your body. It can maybe cause you to feel like kind of pulled towards something. But I think in my experience, there's a fairly easy way to tell what's intuition and what's not. I think it does take some practice, but yeah, what I wanted to do in that first topic is just really get into like how do you hear your intuition and how do you know that that's what's speaking to you? So we'll spend some time getting into that first. I think that's a good foundation topic for where else we're going to go. The next thing that I want to get into is trusting your intuition. So I put forth a question to my INFP's email newsletter not that long ago, asking people like what were their biggest challenges in terms of their intuition. Trusting intuition was by far the thing that popped out at me. That's what most people talked about in some form or another, and sometimes it was the only challenge that they had. But trusting your intuition is absolutely crucial. Right? So you have to be able to hear what it's saying to you, but then you have to have the trust to actually act on it. And a lot of that, to some degree, is practice. But we're going to talk about how do you come how do you come to trust your intuition? How do you feel like what you're hearing you can actually act on? And this can get really tricky. With lower stakes decision making, it's not always that big of a deal if you don't quite trust what you're hearing because you can just do it anyway. But when the stakes are higher, you really have to feel like, yeah, I'm trusting what I'm getting right now, and I feel confident that I can follow this. So that'll be the second topic. The third topic will be I like this one, and I wouldn't have done this probably. I wouldn't have thought about it, but I also got this is also one that came from um, my newsletter responses, and it's this idea of being open uh, about your intuition, right? Being out as an intuitive person is what I called it. So this topic will be about those times when you're talking about your intuition, right? You might be explaining to somebody how you came to a decision and how do you do that. And the other important thing in this topic, which I think goes goes along with sort of being open about being intuitive, is the idea of finding and creating community with other intuitive people. Because if you can if you have other people to talk to about using your intuition and making decisions that way, it starts to feel a lot more normal, and it's a little easier to talk about and be open about in general. So that's where I wanted to go with that topic, is really like, how do you sort of deal, it's one thing to kind of keep your intuition to yourself and and just act on it alone, and it's another thing to be open about that and to be talking about it with other people. So we'll get into that there. um Before we get to the fourth topic, that's when I like to do another little exercise, just because we're kind of getting close to the end and there's been a lot of talking and a lot of listening. So I like to bring us bring us back into our bodies. And I usually will do like an intentional breathing exercise here. And again, this is just going to be for a few minutes just to give us a break and to, allow us to feel embodied again. Um, so yeah, so we'll do some sort of a breathing exercise before that last topic. And then the fourth and final topic will be about supporting your intuition. I really like the idea of ending on this because it is really crucial. In order for you to be able to, both hear your intuition and really trust it, really to be able to use it effectively, you have to support that. So there are various exercises and activities that you can do to make sure that like your intuition can come through you, and when you're supported, yeah, when you're supported in your intuition, it is easier to hear, and I think it's easier to trust as well. So I thought that was a good one to end on, is sort of like ongoing, how do you, it's like ongoing maintenance for your intuition, because your intuition is relying on your body, your mind to some degree, like your spirit. So, how do you keep that all in good running order so that you can really use your intuition well? So, that'll be what the workshop, that's the content of the workshop, the exercises and the content as well. And after that fourth topic, I usually just do like a little bit of a wrap up. Where I'll have people I'll kind of throw out one final question. Um, and people can, if they feel like it, again, people can like answer that in the chat or just think about it on their own. And that's another thing too. I'm absolutely open to taking questions during the workshop. If you're going to be there live, I'm happy to take any questions in the chat. So if you just think of one on the fly, that's fantastic. The other thing that you can do is after you register for it and you're in the workshop portal, which there's actually like a login area and you can get in there, you can actually give me an advanced question as well. If you have something that you'd like me to address during the workshop and you want to let me know in advance, especially like if you're not planning on being there live, there's a place to do where you can do that, and I'd be happy to take specific questions that you'd like answered, either in advance or in the chat during the live session. Yeah, so again, so that's the content, and that's what I'm going to cover. And for those of you who have never been in one of my workshops before, either live or just watching the recording, the way that I like to do these is like it's relaxed and it's friendly and enjoyable, and we also get a lot done. So, like I said before, it's really like most of it is me talking and you guys listening. But there is, a little interactive feature with the chat. But you can really like if you wanted to come live, you can really show up and you can be as participatory or not as you want to. I mean, you can sit there with your camera off and you're just listening. Or you can be the person with the camera on and you're active in the chat. It's really up to you, and there's certainly no requirement. Um, if you want to just sit back and you're going to listen, that's totally fine. And again, this is over Zoom. Cameras on or off is absolutely fine with whatever you want to do. Again, I do ask that everybody keep themselves on mute for the entire time. Um, but yeah, so let's see. So that was just the interaction piece. Um, oh, the other thing too, like feel with the live session. feel free. You don't have to like be there the whole time. If you want to like just kind of pop in and see how things are going and stay there for a little bit, feel free to do that. So you can arrive late, you can leave early. That's no problem with me. Again, this is very relaxed, it's very informal. And there's also, I'm going to deliver a recording a few days after the live session. So anything you miss, you can watch on the recording. So yeah, this isn't school. You get to come and go as you please, however you'd like to do that, and be as interactive or not as you want. So that's just a little bit about how things go in general. If you're kind of questioning whether you'd like to be there live. Typically, so far, I often have a small group there with me. Um, it could be anywhere between 1 and 5 people. So it's not usually tons of people, but of course, that's always, I don't know. That's always to be determined. But all right, guys, I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions and you're on my for INFP's email newsletter, you can hit reply to any of those and send me a question. That way, you can also go onto my website and use my contact form. But please feel free to ask if there's anything, if there's anything, yeah, if there's any questions that you have. And the final thing is, underneath this video, or at least somewhere around it, probably underneath, there is going to be a link to the sign up page for the workshop where you can register. So you can go to that page and see some more details and sign up if you are interested. So I'm looking forward to this. Definitely looking forward to diving into intuition as a topic, and I hope to see you all at the workshop. All right, guys, I will. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you at the workshop.